Yo, what's good? Next, your name Amolytics. Happy Friday, everybody. July 11th. Give a quick little recap of Wednesday, then we'll move forward. Went 3 for 4. Reyes ended up selling at the end of the night there against Fott. Fott pitched well. I think he went 8 innings there against San Diego. So that was surprising, as you know, Fott is somebody that we've been attacking all year. Reyes had good history against him. I think he was like 10 for 16 against him. So just variance there that happens. Abreu ended up homering against Taylor. Judge got a double later on in the game there against Seattle. They started out walking him, quite a bit. I think he got it against their relief pitcher in the 7th, I want to say. And then Atlanta got to Spence as expected there. Olsen got a hit against him as well. And then Langoliers, Athletics didn't do anything. Well, they against Elder, they didn't get to him. He gave up some hits there, but nothing of substance. But moving forward onto today, I'll give you guys my top 5 as usual. Give you my home run play. I am starting something different. So normally I'll start out with a list of maybe like 10 or so people and then cut it down to my 5. But I'll give out the full list on my IG at Next Gen Amolytics. So you guys, in addition to my 5 that I like, so you guys can mix and match there, as well as like the home run plays in which like I break those down too. So I'll give out a full list of 5 there, as well as the one that I like. So you guys can, choose who you want for that manner, or tell me as you wish. But starting out, I like Luke's going against Severino of the Athletics. Severino has been struggling. He's given up, 16 earned runs over the course of his past 3 starts. Does not like pitching at that minor league stadium that they're at right now. And he's broadcasted that as well too. So, Toronto's been on the heater. They didn't do well against, I want to say, who was that yesterday for the White Sox? Can't think of his name, but he was good against lefties. Oh no, good against righties. And that's the majority of their team. But Severino struggles with both really. But this time I'm attacking him with the lefty, who he struggles with more. To be honest, Luke's being at the top of that lineup. I like him here. He has a 182 WRC plus over the course of the past 2 weeks, a 5% K rate, whereas Severino's given up a 778 OPS, a 342 weighted OBA, and then a 151 whip to lefties. And actually, I misspoke on that earned run. He's given up 17 earned runs over the course of his past 3 starts. At home last week against San Fran. I've spoken about San Fran before. By no means an offensive juggernaut. They got 7 base runners, 5 earned, and 4 1/3 off of them with the home run there. Only 2 Ks. Then the Yankees got to him. He was at Yankee Stadium. He gave up 8 base runners, 5 earned, 2 home runs there. Only 3 Ks, 3 walks as well. Then Detroit got to him as well for 8 base runners, 7 earned, 2 home runs. So he's been struggling, and I could go on and on for these last, I want to say, he hasn't had a good start since at Houston on May 28th. That was his last decent start. He's given up 5+ earned runs in 5 out of his last 7 starts. So you got someone struggling here, and then he's in that minor league ballpark in Sacramento. So, this is a spot for Toronto to get on him. I see this going over the game total, but I also you could, one-sided with Toronto and take their team total. I think it's at 5.5 here as well. But again, I like Luke's here. But moving forward, next up I like Altuve going against Leiter of Texas. Leiter did pitch against Houston this year, in which he pitched pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie, that was a home start. He does struggle a bit away. His last couple away starts I'll speak to was at San Diego. last week, gave up 7 base runners, 2 earned there, and 3 2/3. Then was at Pittsburgh, gave up 7 base runners, 3 earned there, and then Minnesota too, for 9 base runners, 4 earned there, and 1 home run. He struggles with the right side of the plate. And what you know about Houston, they're full of righties. He may see 1 or 2 lefties in that lineup today, but for the most part, it's righties. He's giving up an 808 OPS to righties. He's also given up a 354 weighted OBA and a 158 whip to righties. So I like this for Altuve, who has a 214 WRC plus against right-handed pitching, a 7% K rate. They got him out in left field today. I want to say he's batting third there in front of Walker. And speaking of, Leiter in this matchup, I also like Walker too. Him and Altuve, to do some damage against Leiter. Walker supporting a 203 WRC plus with a 23% K rate against right-handed pitching. I expect a lot of runs to be scored here. Both pitchers struggle with righties, and for the most part, that's what Texas is. The Rangers are, as well as the Astros. They're both, full of righties there. So I like both pitchers to, give up runs here. You can go the game total over here. And then, speaking of that matchup, I also like Langford of the Rangers going against McCullers. McCullers is even worse against right-handed hitters than Leiter. Let's speak to McCullers here. He's given up a 206 whip to righties, a 434 weighted OBA, and over 1,000 OPS to righties. So I like this for Langford. It's a couple righties in that Rangers lineup. You got Garcia, Simeon. Jung is injured right now, I believe. And then you got some dangerous lefties too. Seager, Josh Smith at the top of the lineup. I don't really know the bottom of their lineup, that much, but I'm speaking more to that top 5, top 6 of their lineup to get to McCullers here. Pitched decently well at the Dodgers last week. However, he had 18 runs of run support, in that game. It still gave up 8 base runners. That's when, Astros went federal on the Dodgers bullpen there. And gave up 1 earned, 1 home run there. But other than that, he faced the Cubs the week prior, gave up 11 base runners, 8 earned, 3 home runs. Then faced the White Sox, gave up 8 base runners, 4 earned there. So, not someone, last week I feel like it's just a run support, and at that point in time, you guys are already, whooping on him. So I don't think he pitches that well here. And as I said, I feel like it's run scored on both sides. But Langford, I see getting his hit here. He has a 217 WRC plus with the 25% K rate against right-handed pitching. McCullers also has the highest numbers, stats that I mentioned on the board across all OPS, weighted OBA, and whip to right-handed hitters. Lastly, I like Duran of Boston. Boston's been the best offensive team, over the course of the past 2 weeks, especially with right-handed pitching, but they're also hitting left-handed pitching. They're going against Tampa Bay here. So Rasmussen is starting the game. However, they're trying to watch his innings. So they have Joe Bull coming in for a bulk of the innings. And he's pitched decently well, but his first 2 times doing this, I think they're just going to do this for the rest of the year with Rasmussen and Bull. But his first 2 times doing this was against, in which he came out of the bullpen for bulk relief, was Minnesota and then Atlanta. 2 offenses that you don't really consider juggernauts by any means, and definitely not comparison to what Boston's been doing over the course of the past 2 weeks. So Rasmussen is decent. I will say that he's pretty good there, but you're only going to see him for 2 weeks, not 2 weeks, but 2 innings there, and then you're going to see a Bull for probably like 4 or 5 there, depending on how well he's doing. So I like this for Boston. They did, end up coming back yesterday and winning that game. So I think they passed the test here, in which I don't think they did so well offensively. Yeah, they only had 4 hits yesterday. I don't expect that again by any means. So I expect them to hop on ball here. I'm not going to say they get to Rasmussen as he's only going to pitch 2 innings, but I do like them to get the ball. Young pitcher here. So those are my 5. In order, I like Luke's from Toronto, Altuve, Houston, Duran, Boston, 4 being Walker, Houston, and then Langford of Texas. And then for my home run, I'm going at Severino again. As I mentioned, he's struggling. And I'll speak to his home runs real quick. Barger has a over 500 ISO over the course of the past 2 weeks against right-handed pitching. They're in that minor league ballpark. I expected the Toronto to get to him as a team, and the more pitches he has to throw, the more opportunities that Barger has to do this. He's been on a hot streak, and as I said, he struggles with lefties as well. Barger being a lefty, Severino's given up a home run his last 4 starts, 5 out of the 7, and then 3 of these starts he's given up 2+ home runs. So I expect him, to get shelled here and him out early. Then we get to the Athletics bullpen, and then we go from there. But those are my 5. That's my home run. As I mentioned, I will post the top 10 on IG. So follow that at Next Gen Amolytics, and then I'll post the top 5 for the home run as well.